a strong emotional connection with people. And also did the personal injury, like Chuck and Kendall. And so in those cases that, it became more personal, you're dealing with people who've been injured. And so you're there with them, and they're your clients, and you're seeing them when they've been injured and helped, and you're trying to give them the recovery that you think they need to compensate them for the nature of their injuries. And then on the criminal side, you're trying to get the best results sometimes for your client. And I think that, coming back here and doing insurance defense with you, man, it's like I'm on the other side of the table. So when you go ahead and someone hits you, then oftentimes I'd be the person that defends the person who may have hit you from behind. Or if you fell out here on the floor, leaving out, that I'd be defending the county or the building owner to go ahead and defend them against your claim. And I will say the difference to it, that was a lot less stressful for me on the defense side than it was on the plaintiff side. And that was because we were really arguing about money. And most of the time, it wasn't my client's money, it was the insurance company's money. And you say that's different because it's different when you're dealing with a family case and your client is trying to fight for custody of your kids. And so you want to get them the best recovery possible because oftentimes the kid may not be in the most ideal situation. And so if you don't go ahead and perform and get them the result that you need, then that puts stress on you because you left you've let down your client and you left the child in a bad situation. And then if you're looking at on the criminal side, you have pressure because sometimes, particularly if it's a young person and they're on this whole possession of marijuana less than an ounce, and them going forward, but having a drug convention, how that could affect them further on in life. 18, 19 years old and having another 50, 60 years to live, and how that may affect them with their inability to get financial aid, inability to be able to find a job. And then you look on the personal injury side, you've got a client that's injured, that's been hurt, sometimes permanently, sometimes they've lost their life. And sometimes oftentimes it's someone that's at harm. So, there's also the pressure of getting that recovery for that client and getting their day in court and fighting against it. And so one thing I will say about Chuck, that none of my clients ever tried to draw the case to go ahead and beat your clients myself.
They never paid.
But on the defense side, I would say that one of the things we looked at was really going ahead and try to, on the flip side, we tried to determine, one, if it was a medical malpractice case, what I did a good bit of defending doctors, nurses, and hospital, really determined whether or not the claim was something that was a complication from the procedure, or was it doctor error? If we were dealing with a slip and fall, then we were looking at whether there's something there that put the owner of the building on notice that there was a substance on the floor. And so a lot of times we'll say that, most of the time we would, if it was an issue of, liability not dispute, we settle those. And the most of the ones we tried, when there's a question of liability, who's actually at fault? But moving on and transitioning on, I decided to run for mayor. I looked at some of the experiences that I had, during my career practicing law. I lived in Atlanta. I've been on boards doing economic development, handling matters with procurement. And so I really thought that I had something that could offer the city, in regards to moving the city forward, continue to make us more competitive. And while I wasn't unsuccessful, I was going back to the practice of law. And then a lot of people who had seen the campaign I ran really thought that I had something to offer to the county, and really thought it was something that I should look at the probate court. And so initially I wasn't that interested in it, and people came and said, well, just look at it, see what the court has, see what you can add. And as I went and looked at it, I saw them things that we could add to go ahead and make the court a little bit better. I thought, looking at the court, that we could probably use technology a little bit better. And so in my short time there, then we've been working, one, to do an e-filing system to go ahead and bring us on part of the state court system, as well as an app that allows us to be more user-friendly to the public. Realizing that now people get all the information pretty much from their smartphone. And everything now is app-based. Download my app, go to my app if you want to go ahead and get more information. So how do we go ahead and make the probate court more accessible? So when you want to go ahead and renew your license or renew your tag, you can do it from your smartphone. You want to register to vote, you can go ahead on our app, click in there and register electronically. Or find out where your polling place is. And things like that to go ahead and kind of move the court forward. I have been fortunate enough to go ahead and list these two guys to serve as guardian lights for me in probate. And so the guardian ad litem, what I use them for, sometimes we have things with involuntary commitments, where someone is coming to us because someone believes they need some mental health treatment. And I rely on these guys to go ahead and meet with the person, because you have a family or the Department of Mental Health or the police department believes that they're not able to make decisions for themselves, they need some help. I often have to rely on attorneys like Chuck and Fernando to go ahead and independently meet with the person and then make a recommendation to me what they believe is in that person's best interest. Sometimes when I'm dealing with the states, you've got families fighting, or you've got them fighting over, trying to get guardianship of someone. That's being able to make decisions for someone. I have to rely on them to see if it's in their best interest. Because sometimes it's not really in people's best interest, it's people out trying to control their money. We had a case